Is there such a thing as passive income? Well, passive income would imply that you're not doing actually any work to generate that return. Now, in the context of property, normally you're purchasing an asset that's generating an income. So you could argue that that to some extent is passive. However, for most property investment strategies, it means you're doing some work in order to try and get a better than an ordinary income. So for example, let's say you had £100,000 and you purchased a family house and you let that out to a family. They're paying you, say, £500 a month. Over a year, you're generating £6,000. So you're getting a 6% return on your £100,000. You're doing very little work for that. So that's fairly passive. Now you may still have to manage the managing agent to make sure things are done. You may have to check the accounting to make sure that payments are coming through. So it's not as though you've got nothing to do at all, but there's probably a little bit of work that you need to do. Now, alternatively, it may be that you are investing in a commercial property. Let's say you've got a tenant like say Co-op, for example, is your tenant in a shop, and you've got an investment there. And let's say in this case, your investment now is £1 million. Now, with this type of tenant, you're doing very little work because what you've got is a lease in place. They're repairing the property, they're maintaining it, they're insuring it, and they're paying you pretty much on a quarterly basis. And now with a tenant like Co-op, it's very, very unlikely that they'll go bust, meaning the chances of you struggling to be able to get a payment from them is going to be very unlikely. So an asset like that is more valuable, and people are willing to accept a lower income for an asset like that because it means it's a lower risk, and effectively the returns tied in with that are lower as well. But let's say they were paying you the equivalent, say £60,000 a year rent for that. So you're getting £6% return on your money again on your £1 million investment. Now in this case, it's more passive than the previous one because there's less work involved. Now let's go the other way. Let's say, for example, you're looking to set up a property project that's going to generate you a very high income from that particular building. So let's say you purchased a property for £100,000 and now you're going to operate it as serviced accommodation, a short stay business, maybe running on Airbnb. So now what you're doing is you're effectively making the property available on a nightly basis. Now it may be somebody stays for a night, it may be somebody stays for a weekend or a week or 2 weeks, but effectively it's a short period of time and you're charging a much higher income for that particular property. And let's say it's a £100,000 property and you're collecting, say, £100 a night. So now it's £3,000 a month that you're potentially collecting, or £36,000 with that initial £100,000 investment. So in this case, the return on investment is 36% return on investment versus the 6. Now, of course, there's going to be costs associated with that you've got to take off that £36,000 income. But either way, it's significantly higher than, say, the family home. But in this case, you're doing a lot more work, you're being a lot more involved, so it's not passive. Now, some people will argue with me, well, I can have a manager in place, I can appoint somebody else to run it. Yes, you can, but all of these things will reduce your profitability because there's other costs that you are now incurring in terms of running it, but also in terms of the performance, it will never be the same as you managing and running that yourself. Now, another form of passive investing in property would be effectively you're investing in a fund that somebody has where they're doing all the work, they're purchasing the property, they're trying to produce the best returns, low risk property, and you get a share of that return. And that's, for example, maybe a listed fund on the stock exchange that you're doing. Now, I don't get involved in stocks and shares. I tend to be much more active because I'm interested in producing a higher return for our money, but I'm much more involved. I'm far from passive. So my personal opinion is when it comes to passive investments, generally the more passive it is, the lower your return is. The higher the return you want to achieve, the more you need to be involved. Hey, if you're enjoying these Saj daily videos, then what I'd like you to do is click on my face over here to subscribe to the channel, and also click on the bell in order to get the notifications when these videos are being released. Then what to do next, click on this video here, and I'll see you over here on this video next.